this is me. I put down the mask of positivity, the facade that I used to keep people at arm's length, and I said, this is me, this is what I've done, I'm weak, and I need help. For me, growing up, asking for help just was not an option, you know? I have a sports background, a strict Nigerian father. His nickname for me was Fearless Fighter. You know, I took that to heart, where I don't need a fearless fighter doesn't need help. A fearless fighter fights through any barrier, you know? Like I said, as an athlete, you know, you jump over any hurdle. In football, if you get knocked down, you get right back up. There's no talking about help. So that moment, like I said, when I got my second DWI, when I was at the bottom, you know, when all of my solutions had run out and I needed for help, that was a rebirth, so to speak, you know, and I realized I'm not alone, you know, because trying to find solutions only in myself kept me away from my fellow man. You know, instead of trying to swim in the stream with everybody else, be connected with everyone else, realizing that we're all a part of this thing together, it just kept me so distant. And I wondered why I struggled to make these real connections, was because I wasn't honest. I was putting forth this facade of positivity because I wanted people to see me in a certain light, instead of saying, this is who I am, I'm struggling right now, and I need some help. You know, so after that second DWI, I went to rehab. You know, rehabilitation is, I think in society we see it as such a bad thing, as somewhere where people go that fails. I think it was the biggest blessing that I've ever had. I got to spend 30 days off the grid, working on myself, receiving help, being coachable, being teachable, having that rookie mindset where I will take in anything because my solutions are not working, and realizing that was okay. You know, I instantly saw progress. I instantly started to see themes when I opened up about my certain behaviors and the things that I dealt with in the past. And I started to realize these things with the help of other men and other people. I was able to see there's patterns in my behavior, which gave me the tools that I needed to change. You know, when I started to realize that it wasn't just me, that there was something greater in this world, that I wasn't alone, and that it was a part of all of us, things started to change. I mean, there were times where it was so hopeless, and I would have these lucid moments where I'd look upon myself, and it would just seem so doubtful that change would ever happen, that I was just stuck in this repeated loop of pain, misery, discomfort, confusion, and it took the help of others to change that. You know, so for that I'm always grateful, and it's still not a strength of mine to this day, but it's a tool that I now have in my toolbox that I will continue to work on and continue to level up. Not only that, it is my purpose and my passion to provide myself to other people. I want to be that hand when you don't feel like you can reach up and grab this hand. I want my hand to be there for you to believe that I'll help you get through this.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, man. That's honestly the biggest takeaway for me that I've learned in these last 3 years of my life. I'm not a guru of any sort. I'm not a preacher. You know, this is my reality. This is my pain. My pain, I hope it can help other people.
Yeah.
I really, truly do, because I don't want to see anybody go through what I went through. And the people that know me, they know that this is my calling and this is what I'm here to do. So that's all.
Talk about those lucid moments. Talk about it. That's huge.
The lucid moments.
How did you experience that?
So I remember one night, and this was about a week and a half before I got my second DWI. I was out having a good time with friends, drinking a whole bunch, and there was a moment where I was really, really drunk, and I was able to observe myself from an outside perspective, and I realized I wasn't really having fun. I wasn't enjoying the life that I was living. I was just going through the motions. And that was just the first of maybe another lucid moment the week after, when I got my second DWI, and I realized, like, this is not the life that I want to live, you know. And I think the lucid moment was my intuition somehow breaking through the power of the alcohol, the power of the drug, which seeks to minimize the power of that voice, or the amplitude of that voice. So I don't need alcohol. I don't need drugs. I don't need any of these maladaptive behaviors to silence my intuition. I want to hear it. I want to be present in this moment. I want to allow it to come through. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And breaking that, and when you broke that, how was the feeling? What kept you on the track?
What kept me on the track was the moment when I entrusted another man with everything.
Yeah.
When I told another human everything, I mean, things that I wouldn't want to tell to a dark creature in a dark cave, I let those things out of my heart. And that was the moment when I sat with God and asked for him to free me of these things that I've been carrying around, of this weight that I've been carrying around on my shoulders my entire life. When I sat at that moment and had the realization that I don't have to carry this with me, that was the biggest moment. Because there were days where I'm reliving and I'm carrying this pain of these things that happened to me years in the past. I'm holding on to that, so it's only impeding my progress. When I realized that I don't have to hold on to that, I was instantly able to jump a lot further forward than I'd ever been able to, because I wasn't holding on to that. You know, so that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest step for me, was opening up, being transparent, and asking for help, and saying, this is me.
Let me ask you now, we on it now. How do we muster the courage to open up? Come on, talk on it.
I think it's a matter of taking the first step. It's a matter of taking the first step, and it can be a baby step. You might have to start with something small. You might have to tell someone you don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I had told you too before, you know, the first time I had opened up to a person was a complete stranger in San Francisco, and that was extremely cathartic. That was just the first step. But when I started to open up to the people that I loved, who for some reason in my mind I had envisioned this world where if I told them what I was going through, the pain that I was going through, that they wouldn't love me or they wouldn't be supportive of me, when I opened up to them and they were receptive and supportive, it was so powerful. You know, so that, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things, you know, is just taking that first step. Just talk to somebody. Even if you don't know them, let it out. It's not serving you. That pain is not serving you held inside. It's like a hot coal held in your hand. How does that feel? The way I started flipping positivity, so about 245 days ago, I was interviewed on the news for a crime that had occurred. And the news reporter asked me certain questions that were leading a fear-mongering narrative, you know, and that's not what I'm about. I'm about love. I'm not about fear. I think fear is contagious, the same way I think love is contagious. So my whole being is to put love out there. Anyways, they cut everything that I said and plastered it into this fear-mongering segment, basically. So that next day, I decided that I wanted to do something positive. I wanted to challenge myself to do something not only symbolic, that was a challenge of positivity, but also to put some positive words out there and good vibes on a daily basis. So I came up with the idea. I just learned how to do a backflip at the age of 32. I never thought that I'd do it. I really didn't. but I decided to do that on a daily basis. And that was 240 days ago, and it's been quite a journey ever since. The second day, I tore my meniscus, knees swelled up. I thought that was it, you know, so I stayed positive. I did handstands. There were still other solutions. I couldn't actually flip for 4 or 5 days, but I was able to do something else, and I was still able to put positive vibes out there. I was still able to take positive action on a daily basis. So I think that's the root of it, is not only to inspire myself, but to inspire others, you know? So in my hardest days, there were things that I was able to do on a daily basis. For example, drink, drug, think poorly about myself. So why can't I switch that in the opposite direction? Because I would go out of my way to do these things that weren't serving me. Why can't I go out of my way to do something that's serving me and serving others on a daily basis, even when it's not convenient, especially when it's not convenient? Because those are the times where I really learn and where I've really been inspired and I've seen myself grow. And that's not really, I wouldn't say that I foresaw all of these challenges and hurdles that I've jumped through during this challenge of flipping, because I've dealt with injuries, I've dealt with inclement weather, I've flipped in England, I've flipped on the Golden Gate Bridge. I never foresaw all these things happening. It just happened. And that's been the beauty of this whole process. And I'm going to get to 365 days no matter what. I will figure out a way. Other times when I've been injured, I flipped in Barton Springs, you know? There's always a way. There's always a way to take positive action, is what I'm trying to prove to myself and prove to others. And I hope that it gets through. Share something that has been a burden in your heart with another human being. Take that first step. It's a skill that takes practice. So take that first step and share whatever's burdening you. Share it with another human. Let it out.
Excellent. Excellent.
One time.
Go.